Tell us, first of all, macro view from what you are seeing in terms of the level of activity, people doing projects. How would you describe the economy and how the consumer is looking to do something?
So we're in such a unique position at Trex because we're 95% repair remodel. So we still have a lot of people when it comes to those interest rates sitting on 3%.
Yeah.
And so they're not moving around. You got inflation, right? So as the inflation has come through, a lot of people are having more staycations, spending more time at home, investing in their home. So we're seeing like contractor logs that are booked out, 8, 12 weeks right now. And we've been doing a lot in terms of how we spur the growth at the lower end. So we've been seeing great growth in the middle tier, the higher tier, the K-shaped economy.
Yeah.
But this year, the focus has been on marketing and conversion from wood, because every 1% share away from wood is about $80 million in revenue for Trex.
Wow. So again, this is when we spoke to your predecessor about a year ago, and I remember him saying that it's all about getting people who have wood decks now when they're thinking about remodeling to remodeling with Trex. You're not the only player though. There's like one other competitor, TimberTech. How do you position yourself against them?
Yeah, so when you look at this market, it's a $75 billion outdoor living market. Trex has a $15 billion TAM, of which decking is about $8 billion. So when we break it down, we invented the category, right? So we're 95% recycled, 100% of the decking is made here in America. Most of the railing is made here in America. When you start to look at the breadth of product line, that Trex is the only manufacturer that has it from $2 a lineal foot to $10 a lineal foot. So we have pretty much everything that you need from top to bottom. We're number one in decking. We're number one in wood alternative railing. So actually, when you look at us in railing, even though we're number one, it's only 6% of the total market. Our fastest growing segment is railing right now. And if you look at like our product lineup, it towers over the competition in terms of what we have to offer.
But only 6% because people are still going with wood.
Yeah, wood. There's some PVC that's out there. And in some cases, you might have some codes where 30 inches or less, you don't need the railing, but primarily it's still wood. So there's so much opportunity.
What is the conversion rate from people going from wood to your product?
Yeah,
what do you see? Yeah.
So I would say the last several years, it's been more stagnant. What we did this year is we've really focused on that opening entry, spending a lot more money in marketing. I mean, Trex is a marketing machine. So if you go to Trex.com, we go out there.
You see Martha Stewart if you go to Trex.com.
That's right. Yeah, she's a new influencer for us. She's actually got 2 different decks right now. And so you go to Trex, you'll see the fact that you can build your own deck online. We give a cost calculator, just like you shop for your car. Then you got free samples that you want. You can get them online. We take you through the whole consumer journey, how to design your deck. And at the very end, we offer up contractors. So really, really powerful. This is one of the reasons why we also partner with Martha, because when you look from a marketing perspective, she has such a design influence in the way these decks look. And there's a lot of power in Trex and Martha teaming up.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Talk to us too about, as you say, the decking, everything's made in the United States. Talk to us about your facilities, your supply chain, and walk us through that a little bit.
Oh man, it's a great all-American story. So once again, the founders were started on green principles just for the simple fact that 30 years ago, this is our anniversary this year, they didn't want to see the plastic go in the landfill. So it truly became something that is, what do I make out of this? Trex is more or less like when you're a kid and you wanted to push Play-Doh out of a Play-Doh set. We're pushing rectangles. We're pushing the Play-Doh out of the Play-Doh set. And so when you start to look over time, we have the Winchester, Virginia, which is our home site, and we manufacture there. We also have Nevada facility. But what the problem was the last several years is we ran out of space. So we bought a greenfield in Little Rock, Arkansas. We have 300 acres down in Little Rock. We started our pellet processing last year. And then the plan was next year to start our decking production. But we've had such good, robust growth, as you saw our record earnings in Q2 from the wood conversion, that we're actually bringing up the timeline on our Little Rock facility by 6 months. Now, there's a lot of strategic initiatives going on there. That is the hub in terms of where we get a lot of raw materials out of that area. It lowers the cost of freight in the Midwest. But the fastest growing part of the wood market, the Sunbelt region. New York, New Jersey, Illinois, a lot of people move south, plus there's a lot of southern yellow pine down there. So we think we're really strategically placed with that plant to take a lot of share.
I have 2 family members who moved down to outside of Charleston, South Carolina in the last, I don't know, kind of pre-pandemic, a little bit post-pandemic. Both have built outdoor decks, enclosures. I mean, it's just kind of how you live out there. But that's what everybody is doing, and you just continue to see that.
What about, from a manufacturing perspective, the labor picture? And if you're able to get enough folks to work, not just in the Nevada and Winchester facilities, but how it's looking in Arkansas right now?
we're bringing the best paying jobs down there. People are really appreciative of the fact that Trex has entered the market. They're aware of the brand. They love the fact that we are an all-American made company.
How many people do you have to hire down there?
So we started with 50 on pellet processing last year. Within the next year, you're going to see upwards of 200, with the long-term plans getting upwards of 500. Now, that's just for what we've built so far infrastructure-wise. The plan longer term is we could put several decking plants there, several railing plants there. So there's really endless opportunities when you start to think longer term and how we can expand.
And you think you can find the employees that you need?
We already did. First job fair that came right out of the gates as we opened up this decking facility in Q3 of this year. 1,000 people showed up, which to me was very, very strong. Shows people want to come work for Trex.
I do want to ask you, because I think we are thinking about tomorrow's monthly jobs report and the types of jobs that are being created. And we know some of them certainly, we cover it. But what kind of jobs are they? Are they hourly? Are they full-time? Give us some idea.
It's across the board. So from the hourly perspective, you're going to have people at the end of the line. There's a lot of packaging opportunities. But then you move on up the line, you get into processing, right? So how you make the product. Forklift operators, so the distribution side, all the way to loading flatbed trucks. And then you also have engineers, process engineers, project engineers, and then you also have plant managers down there. So it's really a broad range. It's a whole site that we're going to be building out down there.
Oh, this is interesting. We've got some questions. We're taking questions in from viewers. And this is Brendan from Rockville, Maryland. Brendan, thank you. He says, what is the return on investment of a Trex home renovation relative to other projects such as fiber cement siding? I don't know if this comes into your world.
Maybe he's thinking a little bit about hardy backer too, and the different composite materials that are available.
Yeah,
siding
so
a home.
When you start to look at Trex decking, this is where we start to show the value of Trex versus wood. It's really about 7 years when you start to look, and it could be less than that. Now it depends on, are we building a really elaborate deck? So we've had no issues in that middle to upper tier in terms of people that want to buy Trex. It's that lower tier, and we're trying to show them the fact that Trex not only has that return on investment, but you don't need to go out and build this extravagant deck, right? Even a rectangle as you move out in the yard, because wood only lasts you upwards of 10 to 15 years before it might rot out with all the new species that are out there. So it's a great return on investment. It's one of those things when you look at the advertisements that are out there, many of the listings have Trex in those advertisements because there is something that adds value to the home.
Like the advertising for a home that's on the market.
Home listing on the market is going to have Trex decking in it.
Oh, yep. Interesting. Yeah. The other part of the labor picture that we're curious about too, hearing from you, is what you hear from contractors who, in some cases, they're the ones who are offering their clients and the folks who are buying their services. They're saying, hey, I recommend you use Trex, for example. Are they able to find the labor out there? Are they, because in some cases I'm hearing stories of you can't, and New York's different, but you can't get a contractor to walk through for small projects. They're so booked out with big stuff.
Yeah, so it depends on the part of the country where it can be challenging. I mean, many of them also hire subcontractors along the way in order to help build out those businesses. But I think they're very creative. What we've tried to do to address that is a lot of our new products, we're trying to make them more DIY friendly and contractor friendly. So let me give you an example. Railing's our fastest growing segment. It's really complex. It could take upwards of an hour to install a section of railing. Now it takes less than 10 minutes because what Trex has done on a lot of their new railings is they're all pre-assembled. So you get it, you have a post that already has the brackets in, you drop those in, you drop a panel in, 4 screws, and you're done. So the simplification, when we make our deck boards, we put grooves in the deck boards, and then we have a hidden fastener that helps pre-gap the grooves in there so you don't have to worry about the expansion contraction. So we're trying to think of how can we make it easier. There's a lot of DIY tools that we make available out there on YouTube where people can go out and see. It's not as complex as you think. We help you walk you through the journey from step to step.
What happens to old Trex decks? Because you guys are made from mostly reclaimed, recycled materials, like 95%.
Yeah.
So what happens to old ones?
So here's what we're trying to do now. So the last several years, we started to go out. We started locally, and we're trying to expand out broader. Is we're starting to create with some of our dealers ways to collect material. So it could be a current Trex deck today where a contractor has scrap material or a homeowner has some. They can bring it back and we'll come collect it, or even old Trex decks. You could take a Trex deck, let's say we've had a couple different generations of Trex. Let's just say you had the first generation of Trex. We can take that back and recycle it. So we're trying to, once again, create that life cycle. And if we can get it back, we want it so we can go out there and reuse it.